Well, greetings. I'm Jon Young here, and I'm with my friend and colleague Looby Macnamara, and we're excited to tell you a bit about the CEED course, which is Cultural Emergence and Effective Design. And I wanted to just share something, just a brief story. It was about, maybe a year ago or so, that I was telling Looby that we were trying to find a home that was big enough for Sarah and I and my two kids and her two cats. And Libby's like, well, why don't you do a design web? I'm like, oh yeah, I could do a design web on that. And I hadn't thought about it. And Libby offered to support me a little bit, but we've done design web enough now where I know what to do. And I just put Libby on my shoulder. And I went through this process. And, if you're looking at rentals and, you're with your partner and you have all these things in your head about what I want or what she wants, and sometimes it can be a little bit challenging and emotional as you're looking at different places and ruling them out or saying, no, this is the perfect place. So we used design web and we created this really clear vision of a place, and we had 60 very specific things on one page that would tell us if we went to look at a place, we could look at this 60 list and say, oh, there's not even close to enough of the things on there. And then it made it easy for us to rule things out. But when I looked at that list of 60, because there's this part about wild and crazy ideas, really surfacing and emerging these wild possibilities, that two of the things on the list seemed impossible. One was that the place would be right next to wild areas where you could just walk without having to drive your car and park somewhere to walk. You could just walk for miles. And I've been living here in these mountains for 20 years. I'm thinking there's not a lot of places like that. But that was Sarah's wild idea. But I couldn't say no, no, no. And then I thought to myself, well, my two kids, my mother lives in New Jersey, 3,000 miles away. Their mother's mother lives in Nevada, 12 hours away. They're not going to see their grandmother. I want the place to come with the grandmother, which was my wild and crazy idea. And can you believe it? We got all 60 on the list. When we saw the place on Craigslist, I was completely stunned, and I couldn't even believe that such a place existed. But then I also realized there's no way we're going to get it because it was so competitive here after the fires. Everybody's looking for a place to live. And we were like, oh my God, it's perfect, but let's not even bother, because the last few places we applied, there was like 50 people trying to get into the same house. And I get a text message from a very close friend, and he said, hey, Michael and Lisa's place is finished and they just put it on Craigslist. And he sent me the same listing the next morning. And these are dear friends of mine. And Lisa was Willa and Finch's grandmother when they were born. We hired her, and she was the nanny 3 days a week, all through their early childhood. And they live just right over there. So it's like ridiculous. Here I am. And this is the magic of design web. And this is what we really want to support you to do. One, I'll kind of help work on what we call renewal of creative paths, surfacing the things that really matter, which is what Sarah and I did first. Then we bridge it over through the vision part into design web, and then Luby's magic kicks in. What do you do, Luby? I mean, why is it so magical? Why does it work? How come it builds so much momentum? I mean, you're sitting right there at Applewood, which you also manifested using design web, which was probably impossible in yours and Chris's mind. And look where you're sitting right now.
Absolutely, yes. Why is it so magical? I think because it kind of works with a natural pattern. It works on this non-linear organic way, and so it manages to tap into our natural wisdom and our natural way of being, and it goes below the surface. So initially we might share what we think is already our vision for you. So going back to your story there, you might be sharing the obvious things, but then through the process you connect with more and more and more, and so it gets really anchored in, and you can patterns surface, and it has this ability to show us more of what is possible. And I have my wall here, this quote here, I don't know if you can see it here: begin and the impossible becomes impossible. And this was the quote that I had on the wall when I started writing People and Permaculture, which was when I created the design web as an emergent process. It came through the process of doing it. I began and it became possible, and it showed itself through the process. It came, I used the design web to design the design web and to really get in touch with this organic process. And then the reason why it's now called cultural emergence design is through our collaboration of creating the cultural emergence toolkit, which then looks at how we can use those tools in our design. So how can we use the deep nature connection practices that support us in accessing that wisdom from the more than human world, as well as our own wisdom, as well as the wisdom from the group, from the family, or whatever, whoever you're designing with. And so it allows all this flow of wisdom and creativity and imagination that then comes in the word effective as well. So your design would not have been an effective design if you weren't then regularly checking listings and being proactive in seeking places, being proactive in all that's needed in moving somewhere. It needs to be effective as well, so that comes into it as well. So you've got the emergence, that unexpected magic that happens, and that creativity, and then you've got the effectiveness with action and with momentum and being systematic in manifestation. So those are some of the kind of key components in that. Yeah. And I've done,
Yes.
yeah, go on.
No, I was just going to say that's pretty much the process. It's like this. There's this alchemy in the beginning where you're surfacing all this brilliance, all this possibility, and it starts to build energy into the system. And the system being, if it's a design for yourself, then the system is you, and all those that you're in contact with. If you're designing with a team, then the system is all of that creativity together. And it starts to generate surprises. There's things that come out of it that you couldn't have seen yourself. That's the thing that's brilliant about this, is that it gets you out of your own way. It helps you get out of your ruts, your way of thinking that sort of self-sabotages, because I'm really good at that, and I've been working now with Looby. I don't know how many years this has been, but I've used Design Web a bunch, and every time it has totally brought up things that I couldn't have seen. And it feels like you're in the hero's journey, like in some kind of adventure movie for kids, where the impossible things all come together at the last moment and cause things to open up in ways that you can't see. And it really feels like that. It's a profoundly useful creative process that then on the back end becomes really grounded and really step by step. You see what you have to do in order to manifest. As Looby said, you can design all you want, but then you actually have to walk out there and walk towards your design and actually take the proactive steps to make it happen. But this process will help that become clear. And, we'll do that with these, the little entry ramp in for the vision, followed by 12 really clear steps and 3 group calls, spaced out every couple of weeks to give you time to work on things. But during that time, I think you'll find, this ball of energy will start to move with you. So, be ready for that, because you are going to manifest something, even if all you're going to do is clean your garage that you've been postponing for months and months, or years. It could be that simple, or it could be a big project you're working on. But it's such a useful tool in a time of transition. And boy, the globe is in a big transition right now. And I kind of feel like if we could get lots of people doing Design Web all over the world, it could change the course of history. That's how it feels. And it certainly has changed the course of my own personal history numerous times. And obviously Looby's, because she's sitting there at Applewood right now in a place that she manifested that is really an extraordinary accomplishment. And I think you'll find this is really fun. And, as we said in the other little video, we really want people to participate, not just to come and monitor this. I mean, you can, but we'd really like to have a number of people who are super actively involved, because we fire each other up. Every time we've done this with groups, your excitement about your design and my excitement about my design and Looby about hers, we'll all be designing together again. And it's good timing for me, because I've been here in this house for 6 months, and it's like, well, what's next? What do I design now? So I'm going to be doing a design right with you. And I'm sure, Looby, you probably have something up your sleeve that you want to design for. Yeah.
I certainly do. I have lots of options, and there are lots of possibilities of what to do with the design. And you can design life transitions. You can think about how to kick an addiction that you've got, or how to enhance your well-being, how to organize your home, how to be effective with your work patterns. There's all sorts of designs you can do for yourself, so there's many creative possibilities. And also about what we're going to do is teach you the tools, so in a way it doesn't matter what you design now, because once you learn the tool, once you learn the framework, you can use it multiple times. So that's what we're doing, is sharing with you what the design process is, so that you can replicate it again and again for yourself. And I love this idea of this kind of ball of energy that's accumulating with the group, because when we will be in this emergent process ourselves as well. And I can already feel that energy moving in myself of like, right, okay, the seed course is coming. Yes, it's like getting the seed packets out of the, after the winter, and saying, oh, what is it that I want to plant this spring? So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that emergent adventure as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm super excited to bring my design to I know it's there. I can feel it. Like you said, it's rumbling beneath the floorboards, and I'm really excited to see what wants to be designed next. But yeah, we hope you'll join us on this adventure, because it's a lot of fun, and it builds up a lot of energy, and it's really, really helpful. So yeah, we hope you'll join us.